Hello and welcome to NATO Review's first video debate. Today we'll be looking at the changing media environment and how this affects complex conflict situations, especially for the military. There are a prevalence of websites, blogs and internet postings showing the daily life of conflict in situations in countries such as Afghanistan. The postings come from all parties, Western soldiers, Afghans, but also the Taliban and insurgents. As Western countries pour resources, personnel and commitment into these countries to create a freer society, we ask today whether the greater freedom of expression of soldiers and personnel on the ground helps or hinders these efforts. We're also asking questions such as, does frontline reporting impair military planning? Or is it a good example of freedom in action? Are soldiers better qualified to tell us what's happening in a war situation, or journalists? And how does the military feel about the expansion of media techniques in delicate operations? Today I'm joined by two excellent representatives of both sides of the equation. First, General Van Loon, welcome, who is the Chief of Staff at Heidelberg, but has returned last summer from commanding Regional Command South in Afghanistan. I'm also joined by Hayden Hewitt, who is the founder of one of the main websites which shows information of this type, LiveLeak.com, which has been referred to people from Tony Blair to the White House. I'd like to start with the military side. General Van Loon, the postings of activity and conflict in Afghanistan, when you were in Afghanistan, how aware were you of this happening?
I think as a father of children that do use the same tools, I am of course aware that soldiers will use weblogs and others to share their impressions in Afghanistan. And it's almost a fact of life. It's the way they communicate. Instead of letters, now people send emails. And even more today, they will make weblogs where they write their experiences down.
Do you think that this can work in the media's favour, in the military's favour? Do they discuss at high levels how to use this?
That's a difficult question. Of course, there are very, very positive and very negative examples, but the reality of it is information is available, and people share information. That is a fact. You can't just, you can't change the world. It's the way it is. What we now need to look at is how do you manage this in a positive manner? How you make sure that you educate your young soldiers how this works, what the reactions to their weblogs in their home countries are, what their parents are thinking when they put something on a weblog, and that you then help them make these weblogs better. And also how you manage sensitive information, so how you make sure that information that is dangerous for the soldiers themselves or for the units in which they serve should not be on the weblogs, but do it in a very positive manner, reinforcing the good sides and trying to mitigate the less good sides.
So can you see that there would be some situations where you would feel that it was right to censor, to control the information contained in these weblogs?
Again, I think censorship is an old word. It's not. This is the information technology, the information age. We cannot. Censorship should be far more in the form of education, making sure that people understand. I can imagine that in certain periods it would be beneficial to shut down information for a while. Quite a lot of nations have systems like this. So, for instance, if a casualty occurs, then the telephone lines, satellite links are cut. So it's for a while not possible to send information directly to make sure that the next of kin get informed first. But again, in my opinion, it's far more relevant to make sure that we educate the young soldiers that this is the information age, but that they also understand that the weblog, which they intend to be private, is not, because by nature the internet is public.
Are there programs in place to educate soldiers about this?
I think quite a lot of nations have got programs like this in place. What we now need to come up with within NATO as well is a management system, a good structured approach on how to do this. But I would certainly very much strongly be in favor of a system that allows the soldiers to use the new media, that uses the good sides of the new media. You mentioned in your introduction there is a lot of possibilities now to educate the wider public, but this is what it means. So you can actually use these media to an enormous positive effect as well.
If I can come to you, Hayden Hewitt, correct me if I'm wrong, but your website wasn't set up specifically for military postings and yet has proved very popular for those.
Yeah, we didn't have a definite aim, this is what we're going to specialise in, but we knew it would play a large part in the website.
And are you surprised about that? Can you explain why the military have used your site so much?
I think if you create a certain environment where people know it's not directly an entertainment website as its forte, they are more willing to share things of a very serious nature, like videos from war zones or combat zones. The
Taliban and insurgents in Afghanistan have used your website as well. How would you say the two compare, on the Western side and the Taliban side? Who is the most advanced? Who posts most videos? And what trends do you see?
Well, I'd just like to say I highly doubt the Taliban actually upload videos to LiveLeak. They usually come through Western sources for the most part who track these videos. I think if we spoke about it as a propaganda war, there is no doubt the Taliban and the insurgency are far more effective at getting their point out very, very quickly, globally. Far more quickly than perhaps our systems are set up to deliver information from these areas. And certainly they're very prolific in releasing videos.
And have you seen any development over time concerning these videos? In terms of the style, the content, is it a moving target?
Production values, for want of a better word, have slightly increased. They're using more motion graphics on them, 3D graphics, more titling. They're still always accompanied by the nasheed or the song behind it. As a trend, I'd say direct personal violence seems to be lessening in these videos, and it's shifting more to a military objective within them, because clearly the personal violence aspect of it simply wasn't working. Nothing turns people off more than that. It just wasn't working for them. So they've shifted more to portraying themselves as a very much more militaristic operation.